Welcome to Spider-Verse Minute, the tri-weekly podcast where we watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse 1 minute at a time. I'm Caroline Slater.
And I'm her brother Sean.
And today we are talking about minute 102. It starts with the collider exploding and ends a minute later with Miles calling his dad.
What did you title this minute?
A quiet moment.
Doesn't really start with a quiet moment. It starts with
No.
a bang. but
Starts with a very deafening moment, actually. But
yes.
After that,
Yeah.
it's quiet because everyone's now deaf now.
Yeah. It just sounds quiet because nobody can hear anything over the ringing in their ears.
As you do. Bringing up the explosion, I'm glad you started off with this. I just want to talk about, like, the style of it.
Yeah, it's very cartoony feeling.
Yeah, I thought Wind Waker style.
Yes, it's got
Like,
that
that's...
very cel-shaded feel.
Yeah. I like it, though.
Yeah, I like it too. It's a pretty old style.
Very
you can,
pretty.
Some of the shadowing is done with using dots.
Mm-hmm.
It uses dots for some shading. I guess they're not necessarily shadows, but yeah, I like this a lot. It's also like inside the chamber and everything. They like it looks like this very big explosion, and then it cuts out, and it feels small.
Poofs.
Which I like. Like
I do like that a lot.
There's a lot of times it would just be this like massive like 16 buildings going off, flames everywhere, and it's just this kind of like little like poof, and like you can still tell it's a big explosion, but it's not massive.
Yeah, it doesn't like take 10 other buildings with it or something, which was highly possible with it being in the city.
And it's also a very quick explosion. Like it doesn't take long to die down and just be like smoke.
Which I appreciate. Yeah, I just want to talk about that because I thought it was visually a really cool explosion. And I think it looks kind of funny above ground as well.
Yeah.
I love, after the explosion, we get this shot of, like, the debris, and I instantly thought to the beginning of the movie after it explodes the first time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it's a very similar sort of, like, instead of panning down, like it did in the beginning, this one pans up. But it's like, they're very similar shots, and I thought that was a very cool parallel.
Yeah, and this time, you know, the Spider-Man is revealed in a beam of light, but here we see Miles
hanging on
alive.
For dear life.
Yes. Hang on to something.
In a ball.
Yeah, somehow, like, a giant hole appeared and he managed to, like, be attached to the edge of the hole.
It's like, you know what? I'll take it.
Yeah, he's just hanging around. Jeez, how lazy of him. He needs to get some work done instead of just hanging around.
In his defense, an explosion did just happen.
Yeah.
I love the shot we get of once Miles like sees he's okay, he immediately looks to his dad.
Yeah.
And sees that his dad is okay. And then we get back and it's just this beautiful, beautiful visual of just the web in the beam of light. And it's kind of fluttering a little bit.
Yeah. Do you think he let go and fell down, or do you think he tried to quickly climb up it?
I think he let go and fell.
Okay, that's what I was thinking as well.
Because I don't think he would have been able to, like,
dodge
climb up fast enough. Because, like, when you look at him holding, like, his hand is wrapped around the web.
Yeah.
So it's not like he could have really, like, climbed up with that in his hand and left the web there. I think it was just easier for him to kind of let go and drop.
Or do you think he went invisible?
He might have done that. He could have. Maybe the web was, like, fluttering because he was climbing while invisible.
Yeah, I think it's more likely he's either invisible and it's just fluttering because he's rocking in the wind. Although it doesn't really flutter like it has a weight attached to the end of it.
Yeah. So if anything, I think he might have dropped and went invisible and is kind of climbing back up.
Yeah, climbed through another passageway.
Yeah. I just really like that visual.
Yeah. And then it cuts up to the top and we see, like, it's still very cloudy too, which is nice. Like it's you can't see in there at all, and and it's hard to see and whatnot, and which is also nice. Like the dust doesn't settle quite as quickly.
No, which makes sense when you consider how big the explosion is. I think what I like about it is, like, the explosion kind of looks very small and self-contained, but then we cut to this and you still see, like, the idea of the damage. Like, it was still a very devastating explosion in that sense. Devastating, I don't think is the right... Destructive, not devastating.
Devastating works.
Either word, but yeah.
But somehow Jeff was still able to find Tombstone.
I know. I want to know, like, so where was Tombstone in all of this? I like to picture Tombstone just in the kitchen, like, having been, like, just making food. Like, I'm not being called anywhere. I'm just gonna eat my chicken.
It is a little bothersome how close those people are. They're like 5 feet from the edge.
Yeah,
they're so close to the edge of the hole,
and they can't see in the hole.
Yeah.
Like, no, that is concerning.
And there's just rubble, like, part of a building fell behind. That's obviously behind, like, there's the police barrier, and then on the other side, there's obviously just people. Maybe those might be, like, not victims, but...
witnesses?
Yeah, witnesses, or just people that were... I guess it would be victims. People that were, like, caught in the explosion, and so they're just kind of milling about until like paramedics give them the okay, and so they haven't been pushed back.
It's probably that. It's probably a mix of them and, like, people who, like, witnessed it, and so they're trying to get, like, witness accounts as well.
Yeah.
So it's probably a mix of things. Yeah,
because you can see it appears that there's another line further back. That's much further from the giant gaping hole in the ground. And we don't see, like we just see Tombstone getting arrested, but there's no sign that Doc Ock went anywhere. So she, like, I like working under the theory still that she did just jump in even though we didn't explicitly see it during the movie, they clearly had the alt scene plan to show her jumping in. Yeah. And so I think she's just floating through the multiverse.
Could you imagine her meeting other Doc Ocks?
Oh, no. I'm trying to, like, especially because, like, typically they're men, and so, like, I don't know how her personality would collide with them.
I kind of want to see it just because I think it would be interesting, because I feel like she could outsmart them. Like, she seems like that kind of Doc Ock.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because a lot of Doc Ock versions I've seen tend to be pretty cocky.
Yeah, and they would be very dismissive of
and
her.
She would just destroy them, and I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't see her. We also don't see Scorpion.
That's true. Yes,
what do you think happened to him? Do you think he just got squashed, or?
I think he's just still in the rubble. They haven't gotten him out yet.
Yeah, we only see Tombstone getting arrested. Like, at this point, we don't even know what happened to Kingpin.
Yeah.
Like, if he got away, if he's dead, or what. Would I be surprised if they killed him? No.
I would be a little bit.
I don't think I would be, just because it's like, man, they just went after all the major characters.
I mean, we only have one, like, well, two... No, just one non-consequential, but non-plot forwarding death of the lizard in the very beginning.
True. The lizard, that's not the lizard, that was Green Goblin.
Sorry, yeah, Green Goblin.
Although we do see the lizard's death in Gwen's flashback.
But I don't count that, because that's part of the backstory.
That's fair.
And then Miles gives a call to his dad.
Yeah, I want to say, I love we see Jeff's photo that he has for Miles, and it looks like a younger photo of Miles.
Yeah, I think it's just a pre-Spider-Man photo, because, like...
It's maybe, but he looks younger, like, what do we think? We think he's 14, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's like 11 or 12 in that picture.
Maybe.
Like, it's not that much younger. It's not like, that's an infant. It's like, he looks younger.
Maybe a little bit. I think it's more of just it's a pre-Spider-Man photo. And so he just looks younger because we're used to seeing ripped Miles.
We're used to seeing him in much fear and dangerous situations now.
Yeah. He actually looks happy in this. It obviously can't be current.
Like, that's a younger Miles.
Yeah.
He's smiling. That's not Miles.
I love, like, his dad's like, you okay? And he's just like, yeah, I'm okay. Like,
I'm okay.
Understatement of the year.
Yeah. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I'm cool.
It sounds almost like he, like, fell off his bike and, like, you know, scraped his knee and maybe dinged the bike up to the point where he couldn't necessarily, like, ride it home. And so he's calling to be like, hey, can you come, you know, pick me up? Like, I'm okay, but...
He sounds just tired.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah.
I'm okay. Like, but I love the worry in Jeff's voice.
Yeah. I mean, it has been days since he's heard from him.
This is very true. But we don't get to hear much worry in Jeff's voice in the movie. The only other time we get it was very briefly during the voice message after Miles left the spider cave for the first time. And then it quickly turned to anger. This is the first time where it's like a consistent worry.
Yeah, for the single line he has in this minute. Like, so far it's just as much worry as he left in the voicemail.
I do love how the minute does end with the shot of Miles watching from the building.
Yeah, just overlooking everything, and
it's a nice peaceful moment.
And the crowd's gotten bigger since.
Yeah, they get, well, it's also New York. Crowds gather fast, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Yeah, you see tape, you're like, what's going on?
But this would be the like sectioned off people, not the normal people crowd.
Good point. That's all I really have for this minute. Just the crowd getting bigger and Miles watching.
Yeah, it's a brief minute, not a whole lot of action.
No. You get real quick action in the beginning with the explosion, and then it's real calm after that.
Well, thank you for joining us this week. Join us next week to see how Miles and his dad's conversation concludes. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us on Twitter at SpiderverseMin, M-I-N, or you can reach us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Spiderverse Minute. And if you want to send us an email, you can shoot one on over to podcast@spiderverseminute.com.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.